Hi everyone, it's Lisa here. So I'm back again today to talk to you about how to get into art journaling. What do you need to start? What are some basic supplies? How can you do it cost effectively? Because let's face it, it's just like any other hobby. It can be very expensive. It can be overwhelming with the amount of product. So I actually got this request from, I hope I'm saying your name right, it's Bettina, Bettina. I hope that's right. She asked me to do this video because she was interested in taking a class, and she was like, well, is it including the supplies? And I told her no, and that it was going to be expensive to start off with. Not that the class is in any way not worth it. It's the Donna Downey 48 weeks class. It is definitely worth it, but for a beginner, for the cost to get into it, it could get extremely expensive very quickly, especially if you're not sure if it's what you want to do. I played around with art journaling before I invested into the class, and I knew I liked art journaling. I just wasn't sure how to get better. And that's one of the things I will recommend for you is to just play. It's just like practicing. When you made your first scrapbook page, it wasn't beautiful. It was probably, if you go back and look at it, you're like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? So it's the same thing with art journaling. The more you play and the more you play with product, whether it's a nice page or not a nice page, you still learn. So even if you screw up, you're like, okay, so that doesn't work with that. I know that next time. And then beauty of an art journal is if you don't like your page, you can turn the page and start over. So I want to show you, this is my very first art journal. And I don't know if I did all the videos. I did a What's Up Wednesday a long time ago. So I'm just going to flip through. And as you can tell, if you've been following me for a while on YouTube or Instagram, you know that I've improved a lot since then, since this book. So I'm just going to flip through real quick while I'm talking. So that is the main thing. It's just to play, watch videos, watch YouTube videos, hopefully mine. There's a lot of art journalists out there that are amazing at what they do. And they explain their process videos really well. So if you want to get into it, I say, there's lots of ways to learn and progress and practice without spending a lot of money. So let me just see here. This one page is stuck. There we go. So you can see it's all a matter of preference. Some of my pages are, very much journaling wise. Some of them are lots of quotes. Some of them are not. Some of them are just images. But as I've progressed through the pages, you can see that there's a huge amount of improvement from the first page to the second page. This one's just a trial one, but so you can see there's one of my more closer ones where I'm getting a little bit more improved. So it's just a matter of play. Like, do not feel frustrated. Do not feel like your first page has to be a work of art. You just need to work through the process, accept the fact that, it didn't go the way you wanted it to, turn the page, learn from your mistakes, and move on. So that's a little note also for today for getting into art journaling. Do not feel frustrated if you're not this amazing artist when you do your first page. So the other thing is we're going to talk about today, which I mentioned in the first YouTube video for this series. Like I said, I'm going to be doing this hopefully throughout the week. I'm really hoping so. So I'm just going to dive right in. Last time we talked about the actual journal itself, or the substrate, if you so call it, to do your art journaling on. So today we're going to talk about mediums. There is a lot of mediums out there, and it gets really overwhelming fast. Each one of them does their own little thing, and it can be like, well, I don't understand what I need this one for and why I need this one and why I need that one. If I was to show you my cart, I'm just going to turn, hopefully. I know this is embarrassing because look at my little messy area. You can see my little Roscog cart is full of mediums at the bottom right there. So it can get overwhelming very, very quickly. Do I use all those? Yes, certainly I do, but not all at the same time. So first thing we're going to talk about today is gesso. What is gesso? Why do we need to use gesso? Do we have to use gesso all the time? You know, what's the scoop with gesso? So gesso is, if you think about it, we've all painted walls in our house. And usually, what do we start off with? We start off with a primer coat. So the way to look at gesso is it is a primer. So it helps you use less paint, and you get a kind of more of a neutral background to work with first before you start putting color on. It's exactly like if you have drywall, like drywalled walls, and you need to start applying color. Well, if you've ever put paint on drywall without the primer, it soaks right in. You get like very much of a streaky, you use lots of product, and it definitely soaks in the paint. Well, the same thing applies for gesso on an art journal page. Is if you don't use gesso, you're going to use a lot more product. The product is going to soak into the page, and it's going to probably not do what you want it to do for certain things. There's ways to actually remove paint. Well, if you don't gesso your page, you can't remove the paint. It's already absorbed into the paper. Paper is very porous, so if you want it to be not porous, we need to put gesso over top of this. So as Donna Downey told me in one of the classes that I took from her, if you understand what it is, it might make a little bit more sense. It's not actual paint. It's actual plaster. I think she said it's plaster of Paris with glue. I do believe is what she said. Wendy will probably correct me on that if I'm wrong. So if that makes sense, it's going to help fill that whole paper, the pores of the paper, so that the paint does not sink into it, if that makes sense. So what kind of gesso? Oh my gosh, there's like 1,000 different kinds of gesso. Which one works the best? It's a preference thing. There's a whole bunch. I have the Liquitex Professional. This is the professional gesso. It's roughly around, it says retail price is $37.65. This big monster I got for $26. That's just because it's from the art supply store, which is usually where I go for my art supplies. So this one is a little bit grittier. And then I also have the golden gesso. This one's in a pour top. It's got the little, I think it's sealed so I can show you. It's got the little nozzle here so I can squirt it out all over the page. This one is the golden gesso. This big monster was $31.50. This one is a lot smoother, but sucky part is you need like super muscles to get into it, and then you have this. It's really hard to get product out of here. So what I'm actually hoping to do is to empty a squeeze bottle out, and eventually I would like to empty this one out and pour this gesso in here. I like this gesso because it is so smooth. If I want to use stamps and stuff like that and I want a really nice smooth stamped image, the golden is kind of the really nice one to go to. I've also used the Walmart brand of the gesso, and it works just fine. It is a little bit thinner, and actually, no, that's a lie. It's thicker. I don't remember the name of the brand. I think it's Simply Me or Simply Art or something like that. It's a little bit thicker, and it is a little bit grainy, but it's again all a matter of preference. And I know there's 1,000 other gessos that you can use out there. I know Dina Wakely has a gesso. I don't know how her gesso compares. So it's just one of those things, and really, honestly, does it matter? Probably not when you're first starting out. I started out with the Walmart gesso because I think you got like a tub that was, say, I think it was in a pour bottle that was roughly about half the size of this, and I think it was $5. So you can definitely get inexpensive gesso, and it does just as good a job. You can also use gesso as a whitewash. So if you put something in the background and it's just a little too bright for you, you can add water to it and just thin it down, and it will kind of create this whitewash over whatever you're using to kind of, I always say push it to the background. So that's another thing you can do with gesso. You can also use it for blending with paint. Donna has done that in quite a few of her videos where she'll have paint on her fingers as well as gesso, and then she can mix and she gets the two. I've been at the art supply store and I told them that was what I was doing. They were like, "You can't do that." Well, yeah, you can. There's no rules when it comes to art. It's however you want to do it. So that's on gesso. That was a whole big rant on gesso. Also, if you guys have any questions, please leave them below. If I don't have the answers, I will find them out for you somehow. And then hopefully address them in the next video. So some of the other mediums that I do recommend that you get are actually 3. Let me just push these ones to the side. So there's 3 mediums that I do recommend you get. Each one of them has their own little properties that is really significant to itself. There is 2 mediums that I recommend. This one is regular gel medium, and this one is fluid matte medium. Now, what do they do? These you can use as an adhesive. The fluid one is exactly what it says. I'm just gonna put it on a tag here. And if I show you, it's running because it is fluid. When you put it on, it's going to go clear, if you can see that reflection right there. It goes on clear. Now, what do you use this for? You can use this as an adhesive, like I had said. Usually, typically, what you are looking for the fluid medium is like thinner material. Usually, the thinner the material you're using, the thinner the medium, the matte medium you're going to use. So, like tissue paper, book text, scrapbooking paper, anything that's thinner that doesn't need a lot of stuff to grab onto, if that makes sense. So that is what this is. Now, the other thing to mention, which I'm going to show you in a minute here, this you can also use as a way to kind of as a binder, if that's a good way to explain it. When I went and took a class from Donna Downey, she says your fluid matte medium and your regular gel mediums, like any of these kinds of mediums, are clear acrylic paint. So there's the soft gel medium, there's the extra heavy gesso or extra heavy gel medium, and they come in gloss, they come in matte. It just depends on what, how thick you want the material. Now, you could add, I haven't done this yet, but if it's the way they're saying, it's clear acrylic paint. So you could add, say, a re-inker to it, and you could make your own paint. So I'm just going to grab, right on camera, I just grabbed one. This is the Right Persimmon re-inker. And we're just going to took a little bit of squirt, like 1 drop of the re-inker in with the fluid matte medium. And I'm just going to show you. I now created my own fluid acrylic paint. So, and it looks awesome. It's got that nice streaky lines to it. So if you wanted to make your own paint and you have a lot of re-inkers in your stash, this is an awesome way to use them. So that's the fluid matte medium. Again, you can use it as an adhesive or as a way to create your own paint. You could put your pearls, your perfect pearls and stuff like that. If you wanted to create this kind of like pearlized paint, you could do that too. I've used it with twinkling H2Os. It works awesome. The other thing we have is the regular gel medium. Again, this is clear acrylic paint, so you could use this with the reinkers or anything that is going to hold color or mediums or items into it. So if you see, it's quite a bit thicker. I'm just trying to find a palette knife. Here we go. It's quite a bit thicker. So if I take it out, you can see it's holding its form. And you can see, and I put it on here. It's not dripping at all. It's really, really thick. And when I spread it out, if I spread it out super thin, you can see it's clear. The other thing, you can use this as an adhesive. So when you're using thicker materials, like say even this tag, I would use the gel medium with it, just because it's a little bit of a thicker material. It needs like almost like something more to grab onto. Anything with string or lace or, you know, anything that really needs to grab and stay. Not that you couldn't use the fluid matte medium, it just might not hold. That's the thing. So the thicker the material, the thicker you want your gel medium. So if you had something really, really thick, like even mesh material or something like that, you could even go to a heavy gel medium and you would be able to hold it, if that makes sense. So again, I could take this same regular gel medium. I'm just going to take 1 drop of the re-inker like I did before. And then I'm just going to mix it around. And then this is going to give you kind of not like a heavy body paint, but kind of like an in-between heavy body paint, if you can see. It's kind of an in-between paint. So you could definitely add stuff to that and you're going to get, you know, your acrylic paint. So that's a good way to kind of stretch your supplies that you already have, as well as just by, you know, getting some of this stuff that you probably need anyway. And I know they have this at Michael's and they probably have it at Hobby Lobby and Joann's and stuff like that. So then the next thing that I recommend is light modeling paste. This stuff is so fun. So it's a really nice thing to use with stencils. Oh, I need muscles to open this stuff. I'm just gonna grab my palette knife again. And you can see it's fluffy. Almost looks like frosting. Like if you look at it, it looks like frosting. Okay, sorry about that. So I'm going to grab this stencil and I'm just going to go through it on top of the, actually, let me see if I'm super talented and I can do it like this. So I'm holding it like this and it's just like you're frosting, or not frosting, but you're putting like butter on toast. So you're just scraping it. And then if I lift it up, you can see, you can get that through the stencil. So it's a way to create texture on your pages by just using stencils that you probably already have in your stash, or you could use your silhouette to cut out stencils if you don't have any. So that is another thing you can do with light modeling paste. You can add, again, color, re-inker to it. You could add it to your pages just by like, just applying it on and just creating texture. If you want to, let me just grab a little bit here, I'm almost out. If you want to just create like peaks and texture, and it dries. You'll probably have to leave something like that overnight. The thicker the material, or the thicker you have your light modeling paste, the longer it takes to dry, of course, just like everything else. The other thing you can do with that is once you get a little bit more advanced, there's acrylic glazing fluid, which you could put over top, and you can create this glaze, which just creates this really nice depth to it. It's not a necessary product for when you first start off, but that's something that if you want to get a little bit more advanced, that's definitely a good product to get. So that is your light modeling paste. So you can see that. Again, that's your that's the fluid matte medium. You can see it's almost dry. And then that's your regular gel medium. So it's got a little bit more dimension-ish, I guess. So that's it for my kind of recommended mediums for getting into art journaling. Tomorrow we are going to talk about tools. So what kind of tools do you need to get started into art journaling? Probably a lot of them you already have in your little scrapbook room or your art room. So I hope you guys stay tuned tomorrow to check that out, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.